think you should.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We're going to be covering again The Flood, continuing our adventures in Season 26B with the 8th Doctor and Destry, and finishing it up with The Switching, I want to say 3rd Doctor short trip. Harry, it's going The Flood. Take us away.
Alright, The Flood. Well, actually just finished reading it, basically, so...
so it's fresh in his mind?
Pretty fresh on the mind. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is a time. It really, really is a time. Like, just, if you haven't, I really recommend that you actually just go straight up and read it. So, pause the video, find it in your nearest comic book store, maybe on Comixology, I don't know, one of those things. Just find it. It's a good time. It's worth the money, believe me. Even just the previous stories before The Flood, actually part of it. Those are all perfectly valid reasons to buy it anyway, so you know, not losing anything here. So go do that, go read it, come back, and we'll talk about it right now.
And then we'll just insert the MASH theme here.
Yeah. So it starts off with Doctor and Destry landing in Earth around, I guess, sort of, kind of like now times, I guess.
Yeah, apparently it's 2005.
Yeah, around that sort of deal. And Destry is wearing the holographic thing that she got from that nurse, pseudo not nurse person,
evil
anyway,
nurse cat person.
Yeah. Anyway, that thing, the thing that happened in the last story. So she's there. She's got this. It's generally pretty interesting stuff. As with the having of this holographic thing, and makes you realize, oh, that's why the person on the front is not the fishy lady. Because
that really threw me off when we first started reading The Flood.
Like, this is not Destry. Is it the same Destry? Yes, it's the same Destry. She's just got the hologram stuff on. It's pretty great. So yeah, she's walking around being all crazy alien and stuff. She's not really, even though she's had some stuff, you know, knowing of human pop culture, she's still not like human, so she doesn't really understand things. Yes. To the point where she knows enough of human pop culture to know who, I guess, her universe's version of Jackie Chan is, and basically blatantly tells an Asian food stall owner to do an impression of her universe's version of Jackie Chan.
No. It's actually he was a character in a TV series. I think it was the late 70s.
Okay, so he was actually an actual character?
Yeah, he was a character, and so she references a line that he said.
I thought she was actually trying to get around copyright. But
no,
anyway,
no,
right.
No, yeah, no, it's
either way.
It was a yellow face part as well.
I see. It's even worse. So, yeah, it was. It's very well done because obviously she's an alien, so she obviously doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it that you know, alien with some popular culture knowledge comes to Earth and tries to do these things, and doesn't understand that, of course, humans don't like being boxed like that.
No.
And the fact that, like, there is a trope that aliens say that we all look the same, and it's yeah, so. It was a very poignant thing to put in there, but it's like makes me cringe really hard. I'm like, oh, that's.
I agree.
Like, ooh. And even the Doctor like has a hard time being like, wow, I don't. Ooh. Not sure how we're gonna get this past the censors. Basically, sort of deal. To the point where he like gets once this guy sort of has like a breakdown of some sort. It seems to be because we find out later that the Cybermen testing on them. But anyway, he like has a hypertensile thing happen to him, and goes a bit crazy, tries to kill her. But luckily she's also a badass fighter, so she just wrecks him. That's pretty great. That's actually a really great scene. She just like kicks the knife out of his hand and also kicks him in the chest at the same time. She's like does full on like roundhouse kicks. Just it's great. Destry is fantastic. She's probably one of the best companions compared in like the Leela brand of companions. She's great. So the Doctor basically attempts to apologize for what she said and what happened. He takes them out for dinner, and whilst at this little like bar restaurant thing, finds some agents. I'm not sure who they're supposed to be. MI6 is the idea, I think. Yeah, it is MI6.
Yeah, because they're the people that the Doctor worked with when that scientist guy turned himself into a god.
Oh,
with what's her name? Grace Holloway.
Yeah. Yes, that one. So, MI6 there. One of the guys, North, tries to pickpocket the Doctor apparently, and the Doctor sends Destry to beat him up, basically.
Yes, he does.
Which is pretty great. Pull him back into the bar. The Doctor pulls out all of his clothes. It's like, yeah, I know a shakedown when I see one. I've been the best pickpocketer since ever. Like, have you seen my Sixth Doctor story and Mark of the Run? Pocket the Master? No, you haven't seen it, but you know. Basically, what happened. The Eighth Doctor's just the badass throughout this as well. Like he's got his bodyguard on hand. Destry kicks ass. He's just being a badass as well. It's pretty great. Then eventually, whilst we're sitting here in the bar, Destry notices some interesting middlemen just casually walking around. And, she's like, "Hey, what is this all about?" And then she just straight up goes to attack him. She knows that something's weird, considering no one else can see them. And then the Doctor's like, "Oh crap! Everyone, let's go!" And then it turns out that these crazy metal men that we see on the cover of the Flood anthology. By the way, you should have read it by this point.
Yes.
Just no spoil. There are spoilers. You need to know if you're not gonna read it. Sure, whatever, but you really should. So just pause it. Go buy it. Go read it. It's all good. They're Cybermen. They're the future Cybermen. And it's really crazy. Their design in this is fantastic. I like
it's
the
almost
idea
like they've become almost human again.
Yeah, like the things are like they've become so streamlined and sleek that they've gotten to that point where not only are they like proper anamorphous humanoid, where they're capable of actually moving their limbs in the same way that humans do, compared to how normal Cybermen walk, where they're like walking like robots instead. They've got to the actual point in their evolution where they're capable of actually looking like they're superior to humans compared to before, where they look like they're not. So
yeah. Hey, you want to become like us? No. Oh,
you're kind of lame actually. But anyway, they're also like capable of like doing like, I think they're also like made out of some sort of nanomaterial as well, where they're able to like do crazy things with their fingers, like have attachments come off and stuff. Yeah, they're really intense and super badass, and basically are almost impervious. They get lasered a little bit, but the Doctor is still the Doctor, so he manages to outwit them a little bit by using his sonic screwdriver to trick their senses into telling them that two groups of them are not actually the same Cyberman race, so they attack each other and kill each other, and the Doctor gets away. Eventually, MI6 tries to come pick them up, gets in the helicopter, but North leaves Destry and these nice Asian people, basically to die.
I had to make an executive decision. Oh, of course you did.
Yeah. Doctor's not too happy about that, but we find out more about that later. When he gets back to MI6, he gets some dialogue thrown at him basically about what's been going on this whole time, and that the Cybermen are everywhere and blah blah blah. Find out that they can see them with thermo glasses, which I guess is kind of a nice weakness, I guess, but it's interesting, considering they were able to shine out all visible light and heat light is kind of the same. It's pretty close spectrum-wise. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the real science of it. It's just funny. So they can see they find out pretty much immediately that they've actually been kind of wrecked by the Cybermen almost immediately. The Doctor and another scientist on the base who's his biggest fan apparently. They try to rig up a device that's capable of performing what the Doctor did before. North attempts to try and stop the Doctor from coming out into the foyer. The Doctor cracks him in the face because he can now, basically. It's a pretty good time. They get out there with the machine as some of the Cybermen are taking over MI6. Tries to use the device, and nothing happens. And at this point, I screamed out and was like, "Holy crap! They're actually the Borg now. They've done it. They're the Borg now." It's really great. That's basically the deal with them, because we've already I've already read a comic, the comic where Star Trek and Doctor Who cross over.
Yeah.
And we find out in there that canonically, the idea is that the Borg are actually the Star Trek universe's version of the Cybermen.
Which is great because IRL, that's where the idea comes from, the Borg.
Yeah, IRL,
it's an homage, though, which is good. It's an homage, not a rip-off.
It is, yeah. IRL is an homage, but in canon, it's sealed that they are universal cousins, basically. Where the multiverse is concerned, they are the same race. They fit perfectly into each other. But of course, so that sits really well for me. That in the future, the Cybermen, once they've gotten advanced enough, they actually become like the Borg, in that sense, where they're capable of adapting to threats immediately, instantaneously, basically. Where the Doctor tries it once, if he tries it again, it doesn't work, sort of deal. Which is the real threatening part of the Borg initially, was that the phasers worked once and then they didn't work again, and they were pretty screwed after that. So it's pretty great. So the Doctor gets captured. Destry finds herself captured as well, as the nice Asian couple, not couple. It's like a guy and his daughter, right?
No, I believe you are right. I believe they are a couple.
Okay, because she seemed much younger than he was.
Anyway. I honestly agree with you there.
Anyway, I'm not complaining about good on him, but otherwise, just it's really interesting. Anyway. They get captured. Turns out that they've been this is where we find out that they've been experimented on, and they're a batch of going to be converted into Cybermen. We find out that the Cybermen have actually developed a weather control device that makes rain anywhere they want it, and this rain is not normal rain. It's but it's got some nanobites in it as well. That is basically the bad juice from Batman Begins, where it makes people just feel all of their greatest terrors, and basically at the end of it makes them wish to be converted. Yeah. Pretty ruthless
that
stuff.
Image as well, when they're like praying to them, like they're Jesus.
Yeah.
That image is so beautiful. I'm gonna make that the thumbnail for this part. It's amazing.
It's pretty great. It's got some real great themes to it. Like they're done with Mondas. They're unable to convert any other things that are unlike humans. So the only thing that they've got is to go back to Earth and convert them using their time travel. Obviously, because the Earth in their time, once they've managed to get to this point, has been evacuated of humans, and the humans of their time are no longer genetically viable to be cyber converted anymore. So the Cybermen have had to come back and do this, and the only reason that they've developed this weather control device as well is so that there is no resistance, that humans will willingly accept being converted because they're so fearful at this point of anything else. So it's pretty intense.
It's brilliant because it feels like a Jonathan Nathan Turner era Who story.
It does. Like the hopelessness of it all seems like it gets real like it gets full on like Empire Strikes Back stuff. You know, like second of the three movies, and you're like real like everything is bad, hands cut off, everything, and then just the most glorious stuff starts happening after that, where the Doctor like is like, okay, Cybermen, if you just leave, I will let you kill me, basically. And they're like, well, that's not as much as we are kind of addicted, that's not really what we want. And he's like, no, you don't understand. If you see me regenerate, then you can basically figure out a way of cyber-converting every living thing in the universe. And they're like,
like, yes!
So they're all on board for this. Doctor's like, okay, let's just get this party started. You got some radiation or something? You got like fusion reactors or something, right? And they're like, no, we got something way better. We've got a fracture of the space-time vortex sealed up in a place somewhere so that we can draw power from it. And the Doctor's like, whoa, that's pretty radical, actually. I'm pretty sure I actually sensed that before because I'm bored. So anyway, yeah, this is where we get quite interesting, because the Doctor's obviously picked this up, that they had this, and this is where his idea came from initially, is, I'm going to get you guys to try and kill me, and I'm going to get you to try and do it with this. Anyway, in the midst of them about to blast him with this time vortex radiation, Destry manages to find some lightsabers. She finds some lightsabers. She starts just wrecking Cybermen. It's pretty great.
Well, they were fuel cells.
Yeah,
but they're lightsabers.
They were lightsabers.
They were legit lightsabers.
They were. That's what it is. So she just starts wrecking Cybermen en masse. It's just the way of the Eighth Doctor, really, when it comes down to it. It's just his companions just start wrecking Cybermen. Well, they are Cybermen. It just happens.
Yeah, exactly. Or they are Cybermen.
Which is kind of another thing that I'm like kind of curious about. That on the cover we saw him, Destry, and a Cyberman, right?
Yeah.
Is it Cybermen? Is it?
Is it Croton?
Is it Croton?
No, it's not. Our boy's too busy being the god of the literal omniverse.
Yeah. Good old. Anyway, praise. So she starts killing Cybermen en masse. And the Doctor manages to get himself out of his restraints, and basically the cyber control is like, it doesn't really matter, we're still going to wreck you. You weren't capable of doing enough damage to cause the vortex to explode on us, so you're kind of done. And like it's like real brutal scene where he like smashes the Doctor up against.
Yeah. He beats the crap out of him.
He really does. And the Doctor's like, that wasn't my plan at all, and jumps in the time vortex. And he's just like, the controller's like, okay, what does that really serve? All right. And then goes to like kill Destry, and Destry's like, no. And then the Doctor is a god again. And he goes full Rose. Yes, he does.
Yeah. And even like when he took on the Master in Last of the Time Lords.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like just becoming just the white outline and like the orange time vortex thing is beautiful. Where he looks like a celestial at this point, and it's really great. And then he just de-atomizes all the Cybermen in the region, sets all of their atoms in their entire ship to degrade and destroy itself from the inside. And then, and basically is like, all right, I'm going to go be a Celestial now. It's all good. I'm going to go. And Destry's like, Doctor, I kind of need to get out of here. And starts falling. And the Doctor's like, all right. And then breaks out and saves her and gets back to the TARDIS. And then they go see some cows. And that's it. That's the story.
That's the story. And she's like, she wanted like a, she goes, you should have a leather jacket. And I was like, oh my God, that's so great. And then the Doctor's like, oh, again, you're being rude to the locals. Like,
yep, cows.
That's real good.
It's solid. It's really solid.
I think my favorite reveal in the story is that because there's a running narrative. Someone's narrating the events that are happening to the people on Earth.
Yeah.
Not the events that are happening to the Doctor. It's to people, and then you find out right at the end that it's Izzy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool, because this was the bookend for the Eighth Doctor's run of the comics. It was over here, and to bring it full circle like that, even having Grace at the end, that was really good.
That's pretty solid.
It was so well handled. It was just so great. Like, Izzy, like, just with her bag, smiling and looking up, and it's just like, she knows it was the Doctor.
Yeah, she does.
She's like, the Doctor kicked their ass. Awesome. Now I need to find a taxi and go home. Like, I'm Izzy Sinclair, and I'm the world's nerdiest person.
Yes, indeed.
This comic is pretty brutal.
Oh yeah.
Especially when he turns into a celestial man, and he like the way he kills the Cybermen is way cooler than the way Bad Wolf killed the Daleks.
Yeah.
It's so much cooler.
Yes. Because
it's like he was relishing in their demise as well, like because they're like slowly like degrading.
Yeah, like he didn't just go ahead and de-atomize them all. Like he let them like suffer this.
Yeah.
He was just like, I could let you go out softly, but I am not doing that.
He's just like, "Rah!" And the cyber controller's like, we will never die. And the Doctor's like, you are nothing. And it's great because the cyber controller's like, remember when you tried to kill me in your sixth life? My boys came and picked me up and upgraded me. And he's like, that's nice, de-atomized. And it's like,
no, this is for Charlie.
yeah. Oh.
Without even knowing, this is for Charlie.
This is for Charlie. Oh, man. And the cyber controller's like, Charlie, who?
Yeah, that's the thing is that he didn't even know either. So.
The cyber controller's like, I don't know who that...
No, but I'm like saying, like, even the Doctor wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah, because he has memory wiped.
Yeah.
He thinks she's living a lovely life in Singapore.
Yeah.
In 2005.
Yes, he does. She's full on dead.
Yeah. You reckon she...
No, she's full on.
Oh. Charlie Elizabeth Pollard. Oh, when she was with the bloody toy maker. Play. Like as Harry Skelly was saying earlier, you need to pick this up. Even if you've already listened to us spoil it, the artwork is phenomenal. I think it's the best work to date in the story. Though that fight between the Master and the Doctor, when they were both given God powers, that was pretty good. But the artwork in this is phenomenal. And also that little cliff note with Izzy knowing that it was the Doctor. I think that was really good how they tied that narrative in, and it was handwriting as well, which I really liked that they had done it with handwriting. So it was her like probably writing back home to her mum, because it looks like she was in somewhere in Central America. So she was probably writing home to her mum like, "Hey, remember that guy I told you about? That you probably don't believe me that exists? Well, he just saved the world from the Cybermen. Booyah, he's real." Sends it home. Like,
he's real.
He's real. He just saved everybody. And
took some new mom.
Of course, this was supposed to be the story that had 8 regenerate into 9. But BBC at the last hour, from what I've heard, pulled the rug out. So they were just about to send it out to their publishers, and BBC was like, "No, you need to remove Christopher Eccleston's face." And they were like, "Oh." But what's great is the concept art is actually at the at the tail end of this, so you can actually see the concept art of Eccleston wearing McGann's costume, which I thought was awesome. But yeah, before we head into the switching, is there any other thoughts you'd like to share on the Flood, Harriet Scully?
No, it was a wild ride.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like, yeah, it's just go ahead and listen to it. Just do it.
Just pick it up. It's so worth it. It's such a good story. But with that, we're going to jump into our last story for this week, The Switching. This one is about 28 minutes long, but it gets right to the point. It sort of bullet fires, so it feels really short and succinct, but not in like a bad way. Now, the switching, a alien ship has crash landed, and the Doctor and the Master have been given a sample of the crash ship, and the Master uses this ship, which I'm guessing he made crash land, to switch his consciousness into the Doctor's body to try and use the Doctor's TARDIS to get off the planet. But he realizes quite early on that the controls are isomorphic and the Time Lords have forbade the Doctor from driving it.
Yeah.
So even though he knows how to pilot the TARDIS, he physically cannot. And then he decides that he's just going to troll the Doctor instead.
Yeah.
And decides not to lay any traps. But what he does do is he acts polite to everyone in unit and apologizes for his behavior.
Yeah.
Joe pops in and out in the story. The Brigadier pops in and out of the story. Mike Yates and Benton pop in and out of the story. And the Doctor, while he's in the Master's body, is karate chopping people left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Venusia and Aikido just everywhere, backflips and everything. And the Brigadier goes, "Well, this craziest thing happened. The Master was using that kung fu stuff on the guards." And the Master's like, "Oh my god, that's so good." So the Master uses his time outside of the Doctor's body to basically just to annoy the Doctor before their consciousnesses switch back. What's really quite interesting is when they do switch back, the Master finds himself in a cell with a book of the Magna Carta.
Yes.
So I'm like, the Doctor accidentally sets up the events of the King's Demons.
Yes, indeed.
The Master mucks around with the TARDIS console, so that would put this before the Three Doctors. Because the Doctor finishes fixing the TARDIS console in the Three Doctors. So
nice.
I would say this would be just maybe a couple of months before that. Because there wasn't a story in the TARDIS.
The thing is that the Master was in prison, so it would have been in between.
But between him leaving and the Three Doctors, so and that's it. That's basically all that happens in the story. Is that the Master just annoys the Doctor with a short hop into his brain.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
That's pretty much it. It's short and sweet, and I'm gonna get Harriet Skelly's opinion on the story before I give mine, to be honest.
Fair enough. Well, I definitely enjoy it. It's one of those short trips where it's nice and bite-sized, and it fills the characters very well. I like the impersonation of John Pertwee. It's actually pretty
it was
good.
Quite good.
Pretty on point. Like not nearly as on point as other Pertwees, but otherwise it's pretty good. I don't really have too much to say about it, but it's I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely worth the listen.
It is free with a copy of. Let's have a look here. Oh no, it just looks like it's free. All right,
nice.
Cool. So it's free.
There you go.
I liked it. I did enjoy it, and I think it was quite funny that them. Because it kind of tied into the mark of the Rani for me of that, like, we used to do this to each other at the academy sort of thing. Like, but we're just, like, annoying each other, sort of poking each other in the ribs. And the only thing I didn't like about the story was I think they fan serviced Joe.
No, it was fine. Don't even go there. Joe's allowed to have... Joe and Yates are allowed to have their thing, alright?
But I always... Okay, I suppose, yeah, but I always thought they were more like brother-sister.
No. They were totally a thing, and that's why she was so cut by the fact that Yates had...
I had betrayed them.
Yeah. Because it was also a betrayal of her as well. Because they were totally a thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'll bite. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like they were fan servicing Joe a little bit, but okay, all right. Well then I retract my earlier statement. It is good, and looking here, it is free, so there's that.
Not to get.
So yeah, just give it a listen. And like seriously, it's just like the Doctor and the Master just being annoying to each other. And I love that like he accidentally turns out like accidentally sets up the events of the King's Demons. It's great. Alright guys, well with that out of the way, that's us for this week. I think next week we're back on audios. And I want to find out what Harry Skelly's opinion is about our new audio companion. And I can't wait. Alright guys, we'll catch you next week.